Welcome back to the Rush Hour. Now it's Triple H podcast, and today it is Aaron Woods joining us. Woodsy, thanks for joining us, brother. How are you?
No, thanks for having us. It's good, mate. Been on a bit of a break. Get to work with the big fella here every now and then in the commentating the games. So no, it's good to get the call up and see you guys.
Does he make you kiss the ring, the premiership ring at times? Like, is that what he does down there?
Yes. You know what? It's always when like when I see the roster, Jude, and if I know I'm up with Wendell, it's going to be a great night. So I love working with the big fella. He brings some mad energy, and you know that. If you say something and you think no one's caught it, Big Del catches it and he gives it to you.
But what's good, we got Maroon and Emma Lawrence,
Yes.
and then it's a good call team, and I love what we do. And
So what ring does he? Is it the first premiership, the second premiership,
before,
or is there a half little ring as well?
Oh yeah!
Is it like
you two
Mr. 2.5 over here?
No, so it was funny before the prelim. Del gets out of his chair, like, what are you going on, mate? About to go on air, gets his ring, goes, kiss it for good luck.
I was joking. But then I put it up there and this I can see, because, and this, at this time of the year, I don't wear it like all year, but I just think through the finals time, you understand how hard they are to win, but also your mum and dad, the gratitude that it's taken to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Don't worry, we both kissed it too, don't worry.
I understand.
You and Emma.
He gets us to kiss his ring
I
before
didn't
every show. But we've got nothing to do with the NRL ring. The reason for people, if they don't listen to our show, which is 4 till 6, and it's also on the listener app with the podcast, 2.5 comps. He won 2, and then the Super League, we only give him a half comp, which of course is harsh. But let's talk about the Triple H. First up, hero.
Yep.
Woodsy, you played a lot of footy. You played a lot of rep footy for Australia and New South Wales. Was there a hero, someone there that you looked up to that sort of gave you the inspiration to kick on?
It was funny. When I was thinking about it, you said hero, so I come up with 2. One was a player I played against. I always was real angry on this player because he used to frustrate the hell out of me watching games, which is Cameron Smith. Being a New South Welshman, I remember I used to just get angry looking at him because they'd always win, like seriously. And Melbourne was so successful. But then when I got to play with him for Australia, he's honestly the best bloke you'll ever meet. And he taught me so much about the game, not just on the field, but like preparation, things to look for in video sessions. He's such a good bloke. He'd give you the shirt off his back. Even another thing, like we toured England. We've probably been in England for about 4 or 5 weeks. I got married the day before we left.
It was your honeymoon.
Well, mate, there's more things important.
The knot and get out.
You know what's important, boys. Your footy comes first. Yeah. So then my wife came over for the last week.
Oh, yeah.
And then so she was staying at the same
That was
hotel.
nice of you to let drag in there.
Mal was good. He gave us rooms to ourselves.
Yeah.
But so she was eating. You get her like a little breakfast room. So for the squad. And then there's like a breakfast room for obviously the people that are staying overnight, just normal people that aren't part of the team. And he noticed that my wife was in there. So he said, "Nah, Sarah, come in our room." And like she's like, "Oh, I don't want to go in there," like blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, "Okay." So he picked up her bowl and or whatever she was eating and her drink and brought it into our room and said, "You are eating with the Australian team because you're part of us." Like just,
wow.
You could see little things. And like I've been in New South Wales system for a while. And then, you always get jealous of the Queenslanders. Every time the Queenslanders saw my wife, they would either give her a kiss on the cheek, hello, or go up to her and talk to her. You could just see what and why they were so successful. And I think he was the man that led them to that. And just the leadership that he showed, like not just on the field, but off the field. And that's something that I always look up to and try to bring when I'm at a club now and, for the other blokes. And the other hero, which I hate to say this one as well, because he's going to have the biggest smirk on his face with his fake teeth, is Shane Flanagan.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's
I didn't know he had fake teeth.
Yeah, mate, that was his first thing he brought when he won a comp. Yeah. So
him and Willie Mason.
Yeah. Well, they're not as bad as
Willie's are just...
Yeah.
Come on, mate.
Mr. Ed wants him back,
Well, it's a touchy subject with Flano, so he's going to kill me for saying
That's
that.
fine.
But honestly, like when I went to the Cronulla Sharks, I was struggling big time just with, your game, and you sort of get affected. You lose your confidence, whether it's around a big group or anything. And just from the moment I walked into that door, like I had a one-on-one meeting with him. I didn't even meet him before I signed. I just needed to get out, just come up with something to just move on, because I was pretty stale and I was getting angry at home and all those sort of things. From the moment I walked in the door with Flano, it was I just felt being around his energy. He told me what he wanted from me from straight away. He goes, "Look, don't worry about all the big things. I just want you to work hard on just the little parts, just quick play of the balls and make your tackles, and we'll just go on from there." And he lets you be yourself. Like I love to chew the fat, talk a bit of crap. and I wasn't really doing that when I was at the Dogs. I was sort of just frustrated, keeping to myself. And he goes, no, I need you to do that at Cronulla. This is the reason why we signed you. It's part of your group. And then I got to get back to him again this year with Seabold.
Yeah, that's right.
He was lucky enough to work with Flano again, and he does remind me. He saved my career 4 times, he reckons. So,
And he lets you know.
yeah, and he lets me know about it. But I do owe a lot to Flano. And I'm really happy that he's got a head coaching role. And I love the way that Seabold and let Flano coach.
For
A
sure.
lot of coaches would be quite threatened because he wanted to be a head coach, and it was well known. But the way they work with each other was massively, and I owe a lot to Shane. But yeah, it kills me to say it.
Well, the thing is, I said to Seabold, and mate, he loves you. And I got up a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "How was it?" Because I know Flano coach Tristan there, and I just sort of know the dynamic of him being assistant, and Dean Young's obviously going back there. And I'm all for Flano because I know what he can bring to the team. When 2016, that competition, Flano was the reason. He let you be yourself, but ruthless, and you can have a good time. But I asked him, I said, how was it with Flano? He goes, mate, he's good. He goes, mate, I want him to be the best coach he can be. So I'll take whatever he's got to say. We'll all be a team. So Jim Dimmick was there as well.
It's a great
Tony
crew.
Mestrov, the CEO. So Seabold, and he got that from Eddie. Obviously, Eddie hasn't gone well lately. But Eddie said the same thing when he went to, so when he's working with Eddie, he goes, I said, what's Eddie like? He goes, Eddie just said, mate, whatever you bring to the table, I'll listen to it, and then we'll sort it out. So I can see why Flano's so good, and I'm happy he's at the Dragons.
And it's all about trust. Like, Flano's not going to cut Seabold's grass. 'Cause he knows if he coaches well, he's going to get a job, which he has. So, yeah, he's a good man, and I think he'll do good things at Dragons.
Good.
Woodsy, you've been a journeyman across the NRL over the time. What's sort of some of the hardships that you've had to endure over the time in terms of footy or away from the park?
I've had a couple. Obviously, before I even played first grade, I tore my hamstring off the bone.
How? You're not that fast.
I got it. It wasn't running either. I was in a tackle at training. Wow. So I ripped the tendon off my bone, and then
what's the recovery?
It took me 12 months. Yeah. I couldn't get back on track. When I saw the surgeon, Dr. Wood, I'll tell you a funny story about this one, actually. I saw Dr. Wood. He goes, mate, you're probably not going to be able to run again. You have to look for a new job. So I was like, oh, man, this sucks. And I was like, I want to prove this bloke wrong. Yeah. And then ended up getting back on the field playing. But then this year I broke my hand.
Yep.
And then the doctors where I did it was at North Sydney where Dr. Wood was. And he was across the room from the doctors I was seeing.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, I said, is that Dr. Wood, the knee surgeon and hamstring? And the guy goes, yeah. So when I finished my consultant with my doctor, I knocked on his door. Yeah. He opened it up, said, hello, mate. And he goes, oh, Woodsy. I said, not bad, eh? I played 14 years. I played 19 tests and 14 origins for a bloke that can't run. And he got real and I just walked off, mate.
That's so good. That's so good.
Mate,
I know.
Can't write a young bloke off.
I was only 17, 18 at this time.
That's a great story.
No, it was good fun. But obviously the hardship would be leaving Tigers. That was the hardest decision of my career.
You didn't want to go?
Why did you leave?
I didn't want to go. I was literally about to re-sign before round one. And then all these cracks started to appear. You started to hear a few murmurs from behind the scenes. And then obviously my good mates, Mitchell, Teddy, and Luke, we spoke about what was going on. At the time, it was like, oh, man. And my biggest thing with the club was why I left was when Jason Taylor got sacked. Yeah. So I was doing Fox and some interviews, and all I said was, you just want to know who the coach is going to be long term.
Yep.
And they never. So the next day in the media, they said Woods won't re-sign till he knows who the coach is, and I said, no, that's not the truth. I said, we just want to know what's your future, because
every player needs that assurance.
I was 27. Tedesco was only 24, 25, and then not one time did the club come out and back us. There was games where we were getting booed by our own fans, and mate, we hadn't even made our mind up at this time. So that was probably the hardest. And then, obviously with the Bulldogs chapter, didn't start well. Luckily, I was only there for 13 games I played, and then that's when it come to Flano, which saved me.
I'm going to ask you, we look at social media, and if you use it the right way, mate, you do some good stuff, and I enjoy it. So when people go at you and that, like they call you Sharon Woods, does that offend you, or you just go? Because I say to people, I go, mate, the bloke's played like 19 or 20 origins, and he's played 17 tests, played in the front row. And one of my mates goes, mate, he had 3 or 4 real good years there where he's one of the best front rowers in the game. I said, mate, come on, you're going a bit too far. but you have. Does that offend you, or you just let it go?
Honestly, early on, you'd probably get a little bit like, what do I got to do right to please these people? Yeah. But then now that I've done a lot more Triple M stuff, you're out there in the media. If you put your head out there, you're gonna have people that hate you, or you're gonna have people that love you, and that's just the way I take it. I love a good time. I put myself out there and I say what I think. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Probably the only one that hates it is my mum.
Yeah.
Like, she'll come to games and she'll, like, mate.
She rides the
so
highs and lows
I
of it.
just tell her, I said, look, mate, I said, at
Yeah.
least they're saying my name because they care. Who cares? And then she's like, I want to knock that person out. I was like, mate, just relax. Just relax.
thing is, not only that, they know who you are. You don't know
Yeah.
who they are.
Oh, but that's the thing. Like, so if I'm walking down the street, sometimes people go, "Oh, Sharon." Man, I don't even turn me. It doesn't even bother me. I just hate it when
I've never heard that. Actually.
Yeah.
I just hate it when I'm with
didn't
my
know that.
kids.
Yeah, it's
That's
of
the only
course.
time. Yeah,
I think it's
course.
disrespectful. I think
Yeah.
for a bloke that plays in the front row, played in one of the toughest games, and you played Origin and fair test, it's gladiatorial. So, mate, I always rate you. Seabold rates you. Mate, obviously, 5 or 6 other coaches rated you as well.
more than that.
There's a lot of those keyboard warriors that never aim up.
Yeah,
Plenty.
honestly. What about a highlight, big fella? The last H of the Triple H podcast.
I've obviously got 2. I haven't won a comp like 2.5 over there, but obviously winning an Origin series in 2014. That was, I think Queensland were coming off the back of 8 series wins, and I was only looking at the other day when I got asked to do this. I looked at the side, like they had Greg Inglis, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, Nate Miles, Matt Scott, Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston. Like, man, half of these players are going to be immortals, future immortals. And I remember, like, when we got picked our team, like a lot of people were like, mate, Josh Reynolds in the halves with Trent Hodkinson. How he's going to match up with them? That was but to win that and to see the relief on blokes like Paul Gallen, Greg Bird, Robbie Farah, blokes that have been there for 5-6 years.
He'd copped it from everyone.
Yeah,
else
and
that
copped
time.
it like
Yeah.
to see the relief. And it was only my second year in Origin, so it didn't really hit me till like down the track when you lose a couple of Origins or win another one. Like to see how hard those blokes worked. So that was a massive highlight. And winning the World Cup in 2017, you don't get many World Cups as they'll like to come around every 5 years in Rugby League. And to get that opportunity to play it at home as well, that was probably the toughest game I've ever played. We beat the Poms, James Graham, one of our very own, 6-0 in the final.
Wow.
That game was like end-to-end. Sammy Burgess was a man on a mission that night. I remember I took a kickoff run and sort of you go to square up on someone and he's come out of nowhere and absolutely rocked me. Like, honestly, Gussie, it was one of the hardest hits I've ever been. And he's like, get
And
up,
you were
lad.
expecting that contact,
Oh,
but it
definitely.
was just another level, was it?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
All coming from a...
Yeah,
you didn't
like
see it.
And then the first kickoff of the game, because Clem loves James Graham, but they played the same team because I want to rip this bloke's head off.
Yeah.
And first one, he hit him with a great stiff arm, and Jimmy had the wobbly boot on.
Yeah.
But to Jimmy's toughness, he played out. I think he played 60 or 70 minutes because they lost a couple injuries. And mate, that was a huge game. You know those games, Del. You never forget them.
You can tell with the way Jimmy speaks sometimes. But hey, let me take you back to that Origin moment, and I love that, And then we joke all the time, and these boys love their New South Wales. When the celebration, I've got to teach you how to celebrate properly. When you went over the top there in Origin. But tell us, when you won that series, I know Queensland, they had a gun side, they had Mel coaching, and I'm in the box going, we're going to win this. But then Trent Hodkinson, he dummies and goes through. Trent Hodkinson, a good mate of yours. How did that feel when you knew that was that game on the line and he did the clutch play?
Well, mate, Del, I got a lot of people don't know, but I played the ball for that, so I was right in line with it. And when to see him go, it was just like, wow, like where
It was the most unexpected player in New South Wales to do it, though.
Exactly.
I remember being at the game and he went through, it was like, is there a shepherd there or something like that? It happened too easy.
It was so quiet, like, and that was your mate Ben Teo that missed the tackle. So,
fat shaming me again. Thanks, man. Unlucky.
Trying
to make the tackle.
Trying to help Del out. So. But then we scored, and then there was still.
Then you love it with the big fella.
Best.
But he
He's the
looks at the
best.
camera.
Yeah.
Just for the square up, and he knows he'll be watching on social.
He's the best. So there was still 4 or 5 minutes to go. We had a kickoff, and if you go back and watch it, I was standing on the dead ball line, and they kicked it, and it's brushed my nipple, and I've just gone, like, it's gone dead, sir. And then so the referee blows a penalty, and I'm threw the ball as quick as I could, and like kicked the ball and grabbed, and Josh Reynolds was like, mate, just hold it. No, kick the ball because I've touched it.
Yeah.
And as we kick it, you see the replay, and it's flicked my.
Nip.
That's all right. Oh, mate.
But you got away with it.
We need to get something over
Something.
those blokes. Come on, mate.
those hairy nipples of his.
Let's be honest, Queensland, we've had a good...
You've had a fair run.
We had.
Origin only works if Queensland are on top. Because we won 3 in a row and all of a sudden we had to change the rules.
Origin's going to die.
Yeah, Origin's going to die.
Yeah.
So, no, but...
Good on you, mate.
Mate, your career's been fantastic, and I think you're going to have an even longer one here with us at Triple M in many different things. How much have you enjoyed, just quickly, the starting. I know you got another year at Manly, but you're starting to do some work now with us a bit more every week.
Oh,
Enjoying it?
Gussie, I love it. Like, I get to come in here. I pinch myself. Like, working with blokes. Like, remember, I listened to you guys on the radio.
Yeah.
Jude played for the Swans. I remember watching the grand finals 05.
Maroon.
The big fella over here,
What
mate.
a
Like,
Maroon. I love how you give it to
you
Maroon.
give it to
my
Maroon.
favourite.
Like, it's like he's like my old man.
Yeah.
And he'll even ring me like throughout the week and like just give it to me. And I can't repeat what he says
Yeah.
here, but he absolutely tears shreds off me. Like, you get to come in, mate. Like, I've been here all day today, and like they call this work. This is honestly the best thing. It's
Not
like
too bad.
We get to chew the fat. I've got to meet blokes like Gordon Tallis. Like, mate, he was the raging bull growing up. Like, I was honestly idolised those sort of blokes. Greg Inglis comes in, does a podcast.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham. Like, I get to see those blokes regularly. They text message me now. Yeah, I get to message Wendell. Mate, I can't. Like, if I was a kid and I was 12, 13, saying that I'm going to text message Wendell and have a mad like banter with him,
Yeah.
I'd be just absolutely pinching myself. So it's a dream come true. Like you said, but there's going to be times where you get hammered.
Yeah.
But that's just part of the job, mate.
But also understand that the reason why you're here is you bring something to the team, and that's what we love about you. People love you, away from the studio, and your little bloke hasn't come in too much, but we can't bring him in, mate. He'll love it, mate.
So it was funny. We got to interview Ronaldo Mulitalo the other day, and he sat in the corner for an hour and 20 and didn't move. And I said, mate, he goes, I was just watching Ronnie, Dad. I said, what about Dad?
No, that is fantastic. Woodsy, really appreciate being part of the Triple H,
mate.
brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.